Arsenal take a huge step towards winning the Premier League title for the first time since 2004, despite all the refereeing controversy that happened at the end. And also Barcelona win the La Liga title back to back, and they do it against Real Madrid at the Camp Nou. Don't forget to hit like, share and subscribe to this new episode of the football show. And also, like I said before, there's events coming up for from ma1.com. Udo, if you are coming, fill the form, book your tickets, and do all these kind of things before it's too little, too late. But let's start with the Premier League first, as there was some important game that happened obviously in the Premier League. Burnley drew 2-2 with Aston Villa. 2 points dropped for sure for Aston Villa's side, as they had a great opportunity to take another big step towards qualifying for the Champions League next season. Even though if they don't finish in the top 5, they could still do it by winning the Europa League. But obviously they had a great chance to do it much earlier, because if they had won that game, they could have even rested players against Liverpool and Man City. But they would have to win that game against Liverpool, even though they got the Europa League final after Liverpool. But yeah, 2 points dropped for Aston Villa's side. And if you want to get top 4, you can't drop points to Burnley. You can't. And they dropped points to Burnley, which leaves them 4 points clear, only ahead of Bournemouth, 6 points clear of Brighton. They're level on points with Liverpool. Obviously, they'll still have to play against Liverpool on Friday. And Aston Villa, if they beat Liverpool on Friday, though, they will qualify for the Champions League, even if they lose the Europa League final against Freiburg. So whoever wins out of them, by the way, Liverpool, Aston Villa on Friday, will qualify for the Champions League. If it ends a draw, then it's still all to play for. Bournemouth have a chance to close the gap on them, as obviously they will have to play Man City next week coming up, and Brighton against a team that's just survived, Leeds United. So listen, from my point of view, I still think Aston Villa will get Champions League football. Whether that's winning the Europa League or getting top 4, that is difficult to say, because I think that Liverpool game at home, I don't think they will lose that game, because considering how poor Liverpool are playing right now, I don't think Aston Villa will lose that game. However, I don't think Bournemouth will win all of their games as well. I think they'll drop points to Man City. And then they've got, I think, Nottingham Forest away, which they could win that game, because obviously Nottingham Forest just already survived. Brighton, I don't think they'll win. I don't think they'll get Champions League football. I don't think so. Yeah, listen, they could beat Leeds United and Man United, because both of them have nothing to play for anymore. But at the same time, it's really tricky one to predict, because it also depends on Aston Villa, because Aston Villa have to finish 5th and win the Europa League. Which could give a better chance for Bournemouth and Brighton to get Champions League football. I mean, it's crazy how this new Champions League format makes sometimes these kind of things confused. But anyway, that game between Liverpool and Aston Villa becomes even bigger on Friday, as obviously one of them who wins will get Champions League football next season, no matter if Aston Villa lose the Europa League final on Wednesday or not. So. But it was a kind of a missed opportunity from Aston Villa's side, that's for sure. Crystal Palace drew 2-2 with Everton. Nottingham Forest, they achieved their Premier League survival, and so as also Leeds United, not only because Nottingham Forest got a point against Newcastle, but also West Ham lost, which of course I'm going to talk about it after. But Nottingham Forest, they've had a very good run of form, especially since Vitor Pereira coming in. It's just unfortunate that they obviously had the big setback on Thursday, losing to Aston Villa. But other than that, they've had a very good run of form from the start of March, and that for sure was a big reason why they stayed up there. A good run of form. They were winning games fantastically well against Sunderland, Burnley and Chelsea. So congratulations to Nottingham Forest and for Leeds United for their survival, and they deserved it, to be honest. Leeds United particularly, where they had a difficult start of the season, and they turned it around massively. So congratulations to Nottingham Forest and Leeds United. And it was expected, because with the current form, the way they're performing, like I would say from March, April, Leeds United and Nottingham Forest, they put themselves a very good chance of staying up. as I said last week and the week before, I think it was the relegation battle is now between West Ham and Tottenham Hotspur. So well done, congratulations to Nottingham Forest and also Leeds United for staying up. West Ham United against Arsenal. Arsenal beat West Ham United 1-0 thanks to the winning goal of Trossard, and not only the winning goal of Trossard, as a lot of people know, there was a lot of, obviously, the controversy between the VAR towards the end. And of course, I'm going to talk about it. But let's look at the game first of all, and then we'll look at what happened in the VAR. I mean, it's a big win for Arsenal. Big win for Arsenal. And it was not an easy game. I think the three games they had this week, this defining week they had, which was against Fulham, against Atletico, against West Ham. This was like kind of a season-defining week for them. If they win those three games and they overcome it really well, I think they have a very good chance of winning the Premier League and maybe even the Champions League if they can beat Paris Saint-Germain of a one-off game. But that was a big, and obviously not only it was important for them points-wise, and especially also winning the Premier League and qualifying for the Champions League, but also mentally for them, because obviously they've had difficulties. I'll say from January until mid-April they had difficulties, but the way they've coped with it from the starting from the Newcastle game, that was the turning point for them once again for them. And those three games showed that the turning point was actually real from Arsenal's side. And actually, you look at this Arsenal team, they actually are playing with fire, because obviously Arteta a couple of weeks ago said that after the Bournemouth loss, that this Arsenal team is going to play with fire and is going to make them motivated for the upcoming games. And some people, including me, were like, yeah, it's just maybe it's just trying to satisfy some people. But at the same time, how right he was, because you look at the Arsenal side, they're playing with fire, and they for sure, since then they've become much better, particularly defensively, mentally as a team as well. And this was a crucial game. This was not an easy game at all for West Ham, for Arsenal. I mean, they started the game quite well in the first 15-20 minutes, and then Ben White was injured. Mikel Arteta put Declan Rice at right back. Obviously, it didn't work out at the end, because obviously after the Ben White injury, Arsenal lost control of the game. But I understand at the same time. I understand why Arteta put him in that position, because Timber was out and Ben White was out, so he had no choice to play someone at right back. And maybe he saw something. Maybe he saw Declan Rice before. Maybe he saw something in Declan Rice that maybe he can play in that position. So that's why maybe he put Declan Rice at right back. It didn't work out, but maybe he saw something in training, for example, or whatever. So you could say Arteta got it wrong, but I kind of understand why he put him in that situation, Declan Rice. But it didn't work out. Arsenal lost control of the game, and West Ham had a couple of chances, particularly Fernandes towards the end, last 15-20 minutes. He had a big chance, and David Raya made a fantastic save, brilliant save from David Raya. That was a kind of like a Ortega-Son moment in the Tottenham-Manchester City game, where obviously one of the reasons why Manchester City won the title 2 years ago, 23-24 season, was the Ortega's season-defining save against Tottenham Son, because I think if scored that goal, maybe City would have lost the title in that season. So this was a kind of a similar moment, a big moment, and Raya for sure really saved Arsenal in that particular one, and also saved Arsenal's title hopes, because I think if Arsenal dropped points in that game, then the title hopes would maybe be in danger. Even if they lost that game, I think it would be in danger. Maybe not. Maybe there still would have been hope, because City of course still have difficult games like Bournemouth away. But for sure they would have been behind. If they lost that game, they would have been behind City if they won against Crystal Palace, and so on and so on. But David Raya made a big save, a crucial save against Fernandes. Big save, and not only he stepped up. And David Raya has been absolutely outstanding for Arsenal this season. I mean, you look at Declan Rice. He's been one of Arsenal's best players this season. Not only Gabriel Magalhaes, Saliba, but you also have to say David Raya, because he's been making quality saves this season. Like, how many games this season where I watched from Arsenal, you think like, he helped Arsenal in that one. He helped Arsenal to avoid losing, avoid dropping points. And obviously there's also a reason why some Arsenal fans were upset why he didn't play in the Carabao Cup final, and this is one of the games. And his performance this season in general, Raya has been outstanding, and he showed why he deserved to play in that Carabao Cup final. But anyway, he's again a brilliant save from him, and That save from David Raya was a reflection of his fantastic performances this season. I don't think many people give him enough credit. You know, he's also won 3 consecutive Golden Gloves in the Premier League, which tells you everything about it. Not only that he has a good defense in front of him, but also he's a fantastic goalkeeper. He can make good saves. He's good on the ball, and he showed that in this match. And not only he was helpful in Arsenal winning this match, Leandro Trossard, a great substitution for Mikel Arteta, and a great impact once again from Trossard. He likes to step up in this kind of big moments, Trossard, doesn't he? When he starts, he doesn't have difficulties, but when he comes off the bench with fresh legs against other tired legs, he's better on that. He's a bit like Giroud, where sometimes Giroud is better coming off the bench than starting. And Trossard came in, made a fantastic impact. I thought he was very good coming on, causing problems for Arsenal, West Ham defenders. Scored the decisive goal, winning goal against West Ham, a very important goal, and that was a big moment for him and a big moment for Arsenal to get that goal. And for sure that you know, those two moments, that was like, it looked like it was the season defining moments and the title winning moments for Arsenal. You know, the David Raya save and the Leandro Trossard goal, until obviously some other thing happened, which I'll talk about it. But yeah, like Trossard, you know, let's not forget he's not had a spectacular season, but for him to step up in this kind of big game for Arsenal when they needed him, we needed those players to step up. He stepped up massively, so you have to give him a lot of credit, and he performed. He stepped up fantastic. So credit to him and credit to Raya. And it looked like, okay, Arsenal should go on and close out the game and end the game with 1-0 and win the game with 1-0. And they ended the game winning 1-0, however, in a kind of chaotic way. Because if you look at the West Ham scored obviously in the last second actually, but it was it was disallowed by VAR after a 3-minute view, something like that, as the referee took a long time in looking at the monitor, because of obviously Pablo's foul on David Raya. And a lot of people, obviously in social media, saying this is controversial, this is a disgrace, you know, PGMO want Arsenal to win the Premier League, and blah blah blah, and so on. And yeah, you know, if you look into Twitter, it's full of conspiracy theories. And listen, the grappling and so on in the box, of course, it's not great. You know, how many times this season we've seen like grappling, you know, holding players and blocking goalkeepers and so on, and this kind of goals given. Not only from Arsenal's side, because a lot of people say, oh, Arsenal have benefited from that. And yes, Arsenal have taken advantage from this kind of situation, but it's not only happening to Arsenal, it's also happening to the other teams. Like, I remember there was an Everton United game back a couple of weeks ago where there should have been fouls for Everton players blocking Lemans, and there was no fouls given in that. So yeah, I mean, I look at that and say it's a foul. Why? Because there were double fouls on David Raya. The shirt pull, the you know, around his neck, and what else? Like that, and also like there was 2 double fouls on it. There was the shirt pull, like I said, and holding the goalkeeper, and around his neck. Like, people say, oh, but Arsenal have done this kind of things. Okay, but Arsenal they block goalkeepers. They crowd the goalkeepers. They never hold the t-shirt of the goalkeepers. Never. People make a comparison to the Binder Saliba moment. Yeah, but Saliba was blocking Binder. Whereas this one was showing that he was the shirt pull. There was double fouls on Raya. There was the shirt pull. There was the neck, and also like another one which was there was the shirt pull, like I said. There's a shirt pull and around his neck. That's double fouls. That's double foul. That's a foul. That's a foul. So, you know, and they were holding the goalkeeper as well. You know, the Pablo was holding the goalkeeper. I'm sorry, that's a foul. That's a foul. I mean, However, what I would say is that the referees need to improve their consistencies in terms of this kind of decisions. And when I say that, I mean